Hello.
Hi, Cecily. Hi, everybody.
How are you?
I'm good.
Welcome, everybody. My name is Cecily Kaiser. I am the associate publisher of the imprint Rise by Penguin Workshop and the editor of this beautiful book we will be discussing today. And I'm delighted to welcome you to this very special event in celebration of Ani Di Franco's The Knowing. For those of you in the audience who don't already know her, Ani is a Grammy award-winning musical artist and feminist icon recognized for her poetry and songwriting, which pierces social convention and challenges the status quo, as well as for her social activism and political engagement. One of the first artists to create her own record label in 1990, she has sold over 5 million albums through that label, Righteous Babe Records, and recently released her 22nd studio album. While she has been known as the little folk singer, her music has embraced many genres and collaborators ranging from Pete Seeger to Maceo Parker to Chuck D to Prince. And she's coming to us today live from New Orleans, where she lives with her family. Hello,
Hello, live
Ani.
from the She Shack,
Live from the She
specifically.
Shack.
You guys all have the password, the secret password.
So good to see you.
Yeah, nice to see you. Happy day after birthday.
Birthday of the
For
book,
our little
Knowing.
project. Yeah.
It's finally out. We've been working with this book like secretly for a very long time, and now it's in the world. So, how are you feeling about that?
I
Kind of
feel very excited. Very excited. What a journey.
whoo.
Yeah.
It is a
My
journey, and the journey's continuing.
Let me start
Continues.
by just saying thank you, Cecily, my journeying partner. It was really cool, really new for me, challenging like I'd hoped for, and learning a lot like I'd hoped for. And you were awesome. So much that, so yeah, my collaborating is just, I haven't done that a lot in life. I've just been on my own doing my little thing. And I guess there's a greater collaboration with the audience, throw things out there, see what sticks. But to get down in the sandbox with you and kind of, go back and forth about it as it was being created, that was new and exciting.
It was an honor of my lifetime as well. I'm going to say to everybody who's listening today, I am one of you. I'm a huge Ani fan and have been for decades. And this has been a career highlight for me to work with Ani.
Yeah.
Ani is exactly who you think she is, like in real life, which I think is worth saying. They say, don't meet your idols, but I
Depending on who you think she is.
know.
Oh, Lordy.
So with all of that said, and thank you for saying that. Well, here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that before we dive into all of these awesome questions, maybe you can share a bit of this book that just came
Okay.
out and many people have not yet seen.
Okay, totally. I'll get my teacher, my grade school teacher on. See if I can do it. How did they do it? They hold the book sideways. They twist their head. Oh, the knowing. Oh, there's our cute little protagonist. Ah, okay. Yes. Let's just get there. Okay, here we go. Here's how it starts. I have a name, and my name has a story. I have a look, a sound, a smell, a shape, a size. I have a color to my hair, my skin, my eyes. But this is not all of who I am. Underneath this is something more. All of these things are just what's showing. Underneath all that I know is the knowing. Oops, where are you? Man,
You got it.
being a virtual teacher during a pandemic? How do
A
people
whole
do that?
other story there. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, anyway.
Thank you for
That's how it
sharing that.
starts. Yeah, that's the first verse, but
it's beautiful to hear you speak it because I've heard you sing it, but I
Yeah.
haven't heard you speak it.
Yeah, right. So, yeah, for those that don't know, the book is also a song. Um, and it's weird to speak it, yeah, because I'm more used to singing it. My son, who's just about to turn 10, he is familiar with the song as well, having heard me recording it and working on it. So one time when I actually lured him into reading the book with me, we sang it together. That's pretty good times, parents.
On.
Yeah. Yeah, we sort of sang, read it. Yeah, that was I so wanted to pull out all my devices and film it forever because I knew it that was
But
never
then you
going to
chose
happen
to be in the
again.
moment with it.
Yes, yes I did.
I think that was a good choice. You can talk about it forever.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, well, first I'm going to point out to everybody, if you liked what you heard, premiercollectibles.com/the knowing. You can go there. You can buy this book anywhere. If you buy it here, you'll get a signed copy, which is pretty awesome. So let's get into some of our juicy questions.
Oh boy.
I don't know how juicy they are. I just wanted to say that. Let's talk about, can you talk about a little bit about your inspiration for this book?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's, I guess, essentially a book about the nature of consciousness, which sounds maybe complex or high minded, but I don't think it necessarily is so. It's really just a book that's sort of uh, about identity and all the forms that identity takes, you know, and all the adjectives we might apply to ourselves and each other, and all the stories that we tell that become our identities or our culture or our life stories. And it's also about the part of ourselves that exists beyond that, you know. Some might call it spirit, some might call it soul, some might call it God, you know, the God that is in every living thing. I might call it the light that animates you. So um, it's a sort of, I tried to make a sort of a yes and relationship in this book between identity and how it can be useful in knowing ourselves and knowing each other and telling our stories, but how it's not the be all and end all of our lives and who we are, that beyond all story, we exist in this sort of eternal and ever present form. And I think kids know that inherently, you know, because they're not as deep in the story as grown-ups, you know. They're not as deeply involved in culture. So I think their experience with meeting other beings, spirit to spirit, is probably still happening in a way that we sometimes lose as adults when we're so buried in story.
I think this is such an important point, and I'm so glad you said it, because I think people read this summary, they read this definition, what is the knowing, what is Ani's book about, and they think, oh, that's pretty heady for a 4-year-old. That's pretty heady for a 5-year-old. And I think what you just said is the absolute crux of it. You talk about this book as affirming what kids already know. So it's like really heady to adults, but to kids, they're like,
Right.
yeah, what else
Yeah.
is new?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it just
didn't
makes perfect
care
sense.
about what they were wearing or where they supposedly fit into all the structures and I had no thoughts to that. I just experienced you as another being and vice versa. And I think kids also, you know, they're interacting with all sorts of beings, other animals and plants and bugs, and as living beings, and without all of the story of who's above who and what's where everything fits and what the adjectives and labels are, you know.
I think you have a really, really deep understanding of children. I remember the first time we talked, we bonded about kind of our admiration for Mr. Rogers.
Oh,
And just, I think
go
coming
ahead.
into making a book with this level of respect for children is going to make a very different book than someone who doesn't have that. However, you had never written for children before.
Yeah.
So you have written song lyrics, forever, and poetry and a memoir. And I know you've said that writing a children's book was a completely new experience. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, the first things that I sent you, Cecily, were, I remember the first cutting me off at the pass was metaphor. Let's ease up on the metaphor because kids are literal, and that's really confusing what you just said, So that was the beginning of many rude awakenings of, whoa, like what I have done in writing, this sort of, my game that I've been up to for 30 years now doesn't apply in this context, in this per se. I think beyond just metaphor, which I've been, so involved in for 30 years, I think my writing, typically in songs and, even in the memoir to some degree, but certainly my songs, it's all about dissecting the minutia of culture and challenging the sort of presuppositions behind how we think and and breaking the frames and twisting cliches and taking a different, double meanings and all of this, wordplay or messing with conventions or challenging stereotypes, all of this stuff that is gloriously meaningless in a child's world, so all of this sort of pushing back against culture. And maybe, now that I'm saying it, that you immediately sort of laid it out for me, like that's not the gig here. Like you're talking to a whole other audience. And now that I'm saying this, I'm thinking this is probably what led me to the essence of the book, my very first picture book, the essence of what I decided to talk about. Like, right, maybe I should go right to the story behind all the stories, like take away all the stories. And then where are we?
Well, you've done good.
Oh, thanks.
Done good with this one. I just had this idea just now to kind of play, because we have all these people listening, captive audience, and able to add to the chat. We want to do more books. We're already working on one, but we want to do more and more. I would love to know what people would love to, what kind of children's book people would love to have from Ani Di Franco.
Ooh.
Send us some
ideas
in the chat.
Super interesting.
Yeah.
Super interesting. Can we tell them that we're embarked on another book already?
We're embarked on another. We haven't announced the title.
No, we haven't.
But
I'm not going to tell you anything about it. But hopefully somebody will suggest it.
Yes.
Then we can say it was by request.
Perfect. Put your suggestions in the chat. Give us some ideas. Give us some ideas. So of course, I think we need to take a moment to mention the art in this book, which was painted by Julia Mathew.
Yeah.
Who just graduated art school. This is her first picture book, and she nailed it. Yeah. I'm wondering for you what it was like as a first-time picture book author, what it was like to see this art for the first time.
Super cool. I mean, I think she really captured the feeling that I was trying to put across, of that sort of quiet, peaceful, I think it's very comforting, to be in that place, to put down our stories, and to just be in our skin and in the moment and in awareness and not worry about the rest. So I think that I feel like her pictures capture that quiet comfort of the, the eternal and immutable and fluid and free you. So, and when you brought Julia to me, Cecily, and said, "Hey, I've got this artist," and showed me some of her works, and I love the watercolor. I love watercolors, and I love her style. And you asked, of course, so do you want to tell her anything, any instructions, any? And my answer was no. I don't think so. Nope. I just want her to bring her own intuition and her own instincts and her own points of reference for what these words mean to her and what they invoke. So, yeah, that's what she did. And I love it. Because of course, Julia has different points of reference and a different cultural background than I do. So I love that it automatically broadens the scope in a way that's so appropriate for the story itself.
That was beautifully said. This is the job of picture book publishers, really, is to marry this, find the marriage of that art and text, and not have them overlap too much, but actually have them each add to each other, which I think worked really beautifully in this book. I'm going to look at some of the questions that people sent in because I want to make sure we have time for them. Linda from South Carolina asks a question that I was going to ask too, which is there a main takeaway that you want your young readers to gain?
Oh, well, I guess, again, just an affirmation of that experience of themselves as being, and others as being, more than all those adjectives. I want them to take away a sense of possibility, like infinite possibility. Some of the labels and adjectives are sort of cultural. You're this, or political even. Some of them are more personal, like you're shy, you're brave, you're smart, you're this, you're that, and we start to hear all sorts of things about ourselves and about others. And though identity can be so powerful in it, it can also be constrictive, I think, so I guess I would also want a kid to come away with the idea that no matter what they're called on any given day, that might not be true the next day. And that might change. And that's certainly not the whole story.
I feel like it's occurring to me because I'm looking at all these chat comments roll in. I mean, there's a lot of people here who love you, of course. There's a lot of people here who are saying they are themselves because of you. And I feel like what you've been giving adults for decades, you are now giving to children. And that feels really important. Okay. I think, let's see, another question here. Charlotte from Illinois asked, what inspired you to come out with this book now?
Oh, well, in a word, pandemia, Is
that a word?
Yeah, it is now. Come on. My day job evaporated, as so many of ours did. My job being, travel and gather people together and expirate in their faces. All of that off the table for a few years. So, like many of us, I was changing it up. And, I am an artist, so it was, wow, how do I be creative in whole new ways, that don't involve any of that aforementioned stuff. So, and well, actually, Cecily, had contacted me after my memoir came out. And so, yeah, you contacted me then and said, if you ever thought about dot, 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 here, I'm here. So, when I was suddenly grounded, I thought, wait, where's that email from that lady?
One of the best things to come out of the pandemic, probably.
Oh, shucks. Yeah. Well, yeah, it really, I think I've been noticing that I have that in common with so many other humans. Wow, the pandemic forced me into all kinds of new and challenging activities and ways to do life. And yeah, a lot of it was, yeah, this certainly was a highlight for me.
Me too. This is a cool question. Elise asks, at what age did you know you wanted to be an activist for human rights? Elise is from Arkansas.
Yeah, cool. I don't know if I would have, again, when I was young, I don't know if I had all the frames for it and all the, like, the word activist but from when I was a little kid, my parents, bless them, presented a level of awareness to me that, that included citizenship, and that included my broader place, and job, being accountable to my society. My mom, in addition, didn't just vote, for instance. She would bring me around door to door campaigning for candidates that she was into, locally. So I can remember from when I was really small, licking envelopes and going door to door. She started a food co-op. She was really involved, so, and both my parents were very conscious of trying to strive for equality and inclusion. And we lived in the city, very intentionally. And I went to public schools very intentionally, though my parents could have maybe afforded to make other choices. So, yeah, I think that from really early on, I just knew that I wanted to follow my parents' example and just be accountable in whatever way I could devise. Be involved.
Feels important. I am seeing a couple of people ask where to get the signed edition. So I'm going to say one more time. premiercollectibles.com/the knowing. Nope, not the knowing. /knowing. Be specific. Yes. Oh, look. There's a signing. There's a signing happening.
Oh, wait. Yeah.
It's happening before your eyes. You might get that copy.
Oh, wait, gosh, darn it. There's my little picture.
Yes.
There's one little doodle by me secretly under the cover. When your kid completely destroys the cover, there it will be.
Waiting for you.
Yeah.
I wanted to, I like this question from Hannah in Washington. What's been a highlight or pinch me moment in your career?
Oh, wow. Pinch me moment. Lots of them, happily. What a great ride.
I feel like you talked about some of them in your memoir, for sure.
Yeah. One that others can relate to, my memoir is sort of a series of relationships, really. When I looked back on my life, it was like, oh, well, there's that person, and then there was that person, and then, the people who made my life what it is. So but some of them are not famous and others are. So, to share one that might resonate with more people, because it involves people they know too. One time, it was the 4th of July, I don't know, maybe 1990, 8 or so, and I'm in Minneapolis, well, playing Minneapolis on the 3rd of July. I had the day off on the 4th, and Prince invited me to Paisley Park, and I went and recorded, you know, 3 acoustic guitar notes on a song that he had just recorded that was voice and guitar, super intimate, and I'm sitting in the waiting room, and then I get led into the studio, and here's this song that nobody but me has heard yet, and it's just him pouring his heart out with the piano, and then he turns to me and he says, "It's in G," and I'm like, "What the fuck is G?" Like, oh my God.
What's my name?
No, yes, my this moment is turning into a nightmare very quickly. But this is where Prince finds out I don't really know how to play guitar. I've just been pretending the whole time. So I go in and I try to play in G. I'm just like, oh, that note, that note, that note. Ah! And then in a blink of an eye, we're up on the roof of Paisley Park and we're watching the fireworks. And then I'm jamming with Prince and Larry Graham on bass and Maceo Parker on the sax. And I'm like, what? What? How's this happening to me?
You are definitely the first person in my life to have a firsthand account of Prince and to tell that story with everyone here. You just heard a first-hand account of a story with Prince, which is crazy.
Yeah, a real blessing.
So you found G.
I found walking between the control room and the tracking room, which, let me just paint the picture a little more. Huge empty tracking room with a chair and a microphone and a spotlight. And I'm walking out there about to burst into tears, like looking maybe for an exit door to run through, just so scared. And I'm also secretly, I can hear in my mind's ear the memory of the song I just heard part of. And so I'm looking for notes as I'm walking. I'm quietly like, oh God. And, it was amazing. It was all over in 5 minutes. It was a one pass, Suddenly the song was over. I had played a couple notes and he said, "We're going back to the bridge," and I was like, "Ah!" And then it was over. and he told me that he was over the moon with what I had done, and that, like, I could have died.
How could he not be? You know what? He was very lucky to play with you. That's what I feel about that story.
Well, he was an adventurer, he was so open and so seeking and so feminist in his pursuit of women to play with. So, yeah, I feel like, the pleasure and the blessing was all mine. And at one point, so when he came to my show the night before, sorry, this is
really getting into it. Let's hear it.
He said, "Hey, you want to come to Paisley Park and play on my record tomorrow?" And I said, "Okay, if you play on mine." Cheeky. Little 28-year-old, 25. So he did. He actually sang on one of my records. So I drew him a little picture of the moon and me over it, just after he sent me his tracks. It's like, oh, somebody else is way over the moon.
What did he sing on?
He sang on a song called Providence.
Ah! Yeah. He's in Providence?
Oh, yeah. And that album may be reissued next year on its anniversary. And I think I'm going to work with that version make a new version around him. More little teasers for future projects coming out.
Yes. We're getting some insider info right now.
Yeah.
Oh, that is cool. That was a great story.
Yeah.
I'm really glad Hannah from Washington asked that question.
Yeah. Thanks.
I'm going to say again, signed copy by this person that you are listening to, premiercollectibles.com/knowing. That's how you get your signed copy. We're almost out of time. There's this like lightning round questions that I wanted to do a few of.
Okay.
It's fast. It's whatever you think of.
Okay.
Okay. Who makes you laugh the most?
My 10-year-old son.
I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah.
Love it.
I
Okay.
laugh just thinking about him.
What is the one thing you, specifically you, need to have in your refrigerator at all times?
Ooh. You know, oat milk at this point.
Mm.
I can't get through a day without squeezing an oat.
All right, next one. What are your pets' names?
Poncho and Lefty. Get it?
Poncho and Lefty.
Lovers of Willie Nelson and Townes Van Zandt.
Are Poncho or Lefty there right now?
Yeah, Lefty is here. Wait, where is she? Oh, there she.
Oh.
Yes, we're boring her.
How did you? Maybe I can make you bark a little bit, and that would spice it up. Where do you want to go that you've never been?
Oh, well, I want to go to a castle in Italy. Oh no, wait, I'm going this summer. I got invited by a friend of a friend who's renting a castle in Italy, like a real one, like a medieval kind of scenario.
Ooh.
Yeah.
With a dungeon?
Ooh, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll get back to you on that.
Yeah. Let us know over there. Yeah. We worry. All right, that's the last one.
Okay.
Do you remember your dreams?
You know what? I was just talking to a friend last night. Not as much as I'd like. No, really, no. But I think I would be so much smarter if I did, because I think dreams have a lot to tell us. But only when I was pregnant. Do you remember that? When you're pregnant and you are basically you don't really sleep, you just lie down and hallucinate. You either walk around and hallucinate all day long, and then you lie down and hallucinate at night. And that was a time of dreaming and dream awareness for me.
Well, maybe you'll be pregnant again.
Yeah, actually, nope.
Nope.
That ship has sailed.
All right. This has been so much fun. Yeah. Thank you so much, Ani. Thank you, everybody, for sending questions and book ideas, which we are going to be reviewing.
Oh, cool. Yes.
Yeah. We'll get this chat.
You're going to save those and we're going
to save these.
Oh,
yeah. premiercollectibles.com/knowing for Ani Di Franco's very first children's book. And you can buy the song, The Knowing, on all of the streaming services too, which is awesome. So, thank you, Ani.
Thanks, Cecily. Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey, this is John Acuff, New York Times best-selling author of 7 books and someone who's done a live signing. If you like the one you just watched, make sure you check out our YouTube channel. It's full of amazing authors having great conversations and signing books for viewers just like you. So make sure you subscribe, and thanks for watching today.